Good evening, everyone. Let me just share the screen. Okay. All right. So thank you, Kishore, for introduction and also a quick overview of what this session is going to be about. Am I audible to everyone, or is there any lag? Okay. So OEE is an old concept, and it is developed as part of the total productivity maintenance system back in 1960s by a person called Saichi Nakajima. Okay. And the potential of the OEE in production was highlighted by Toyota in 1980s. Today, it is used by manufacturers of all types and sizes across the world as a best practice measure and key performance indicator. I've personally seen many companies calculating OEE, but most do not leverage it to bring the improvements in production it can offer. It is a powerful tool if used correctly and highlights the areas you need to improve and make informed decisions. More you improve your OEE score, the higher profitability and lower manufacturing cost you can achieve. Importantly, we calculate the OEE for a single piece of equipment or a single production line. It is far more valuable than when used to measure the performance and losses on a specific piece of equipment or synchronous line. Okay. Today, we will discuss and focus on why OEE is important and its benefits. We will also have a small primer on what is OEE and how to calculate it. Okay. So what is OEE? And probably you're going to see this chart, in different forms many times during the next 45 minutes of the talk today. OEE, or overall equipment effectiveness, it is a framework for measuring the efficiencies and effectiveness of a process by breaking it down into three constituent components, okay? Or we call them as the OEE factors. This helps you to see and measure a problem so you can fix it and provide a standardized method of benchmarking the progress. Okay. If I was to look at the OEE definition, it is very simple. It is overall equipment effectiveness, and it can be termed as the gold standard for measuring the manufacturing productivity. In another simple word, it identifies the percentage of manufacturing time that is truly productive. An OEE score of 100% means that you are manufacturing only good parts as fast as possible with no stop time. Okay, that's what OEE basically means. And if I again expand upon it in the language of OEE, it would mean that 100% quality, that is manufacturing only the good parts, 100% performance, which means that as fast as possible, and 100% availability, which means that there is no stop time of machine. So that's what the OEE is all about. Okay. Measuring the OEE is a manufacturing best practice, and by measuring it and the underlying losses, you actually gain a lot of important insights on how to systematically improve your manufacturing processes. OEE is the single best metrics for identifying the losses, benchmarking progress, and improving the productivity of a manufacturing equipment. That in another way, you can also say, when you improve the productivity, you are also eliminating the waste. Okay, so that is what the OEE is all about. Okay. So how do we measure the OEE, and what is the good score into it? So as I said, 100% of the OEE would mean that it is a perfect production, which again, just to repeat it, you're manufacturing only the good parts, you're manufacturing them as fast as possible, and there is no stop time. Okay. Now, the moment you have an OEE score of 85%, it is still considered as a world class. And for many companies, it has become a suitable long-term goal. Because if you go in the industry and if you actually start measuring it, then you will realize that your OEE score is not really as good as it should be. Okay. 100% is obviously not going to happen until and unless, even if it is a continuous process industry, you still will not be able to achieve the 100%. Okay. I know OEE score of 60% is fairly typical, and it also automatically means that there is a substantial room for the improvement. So from 60 to 85% also is a huge improvement which you can kind of achieve into your organization. So as I said earlier, OE becomes a way of calculating that what are your productivity and efficiency levels in the organization and what can be done to improve that further. So it's important that we understand how do we calculate the OEE. Okay, the preferred way to calculate the OEE is mathematically equivalent to the simple formula, but provides a much richer understanding of waste in the manufacturing process by breaking it down into the three loss factors. So we take the three major loss factors: availability, performance, and quality. So let's understand these factors and then let's go more in detail about how exactly this is calculated out. Okay. So there's one definition of OEE. The simple way to calculate OEE would be that you have a ratio of fully productive time to planned production time. And fully productive time is just another way of saying that manufacturing only good parts as fast as possible, which you can also say as an idle cycle time with no stop time. So if I take this, your calculation would become OEE equal to good count multiplied by idle cycle time overall divided by the planned production time. Okay. Now this is actually a very valid calculation of OEE, but it doesn't provide us the three factors which we talked about earlier, that is availability, performance, and quality. Okay, so let's look into them as well. The preferred OEE quality is based on the three OEE factors as I mentioned earlier: availability, performance, quality, and we will calculate this by multiplying all the three of them to each other. Okay, so A multiplied by P multiplied by Q is equal to the OEE, right? And we will always take it in the percentage. We will not take it into the absolute value, just to have a comparative established over here. Okay. So let's take the first factor, availability. What does availability mean? So availability actually is a total account of all the events that stop plant production long enough where it makes sense to track a reason for being down. Okay. So there are multiple reasons why there will be, a stopped production plan. Planned to stop production. Sorry about it. And there will be, need to track it. Okay. The moment we start tracking it, we start gathering these kind of the data that helps us to, calculate the availability. We will calculate this availability in the terms of ratio of runtime to planned production time. Okay. So if I go by that, the formula could be availability equal to runtime divided by planned production time. Okay. I'll be taking up a simple example later on so that you can also, associate this example to the actual values and try to understand that better. Okay. What is runtime? Runtime is a simply planned production time less any kind of a stop time. Okay. And as I said, any kind of a stop time, this would mean that any stop time where the manufacturing process was supposed to continue to run, but had to be stopped because of the unplanned stops. Now, example of the unplanned stops could be breakdowns. It could be any kind of a machine fault which may occur. It could be a material break into it. It could be anything, which is an unplanned breakdown. Or there can be planned breakdowns like you have a product changeover to be done. You have already planned for a maintenance to be done onto that particular machine, or a part has to be replaced as a part of the continuous running and so on and so forth. So all these stops have to be deducted from the overall planned production time. That's what gives us the runtime. So runtime calculation becomes runtime equal to planned production time minus all kind of the stop times which are calculated out. Okay, so that's the availability. Let's look at the second factor, which is performance. So the performance takes into account anything that causes the manufacturing process to run at less than the maximum possible speed when it is running. And it can include both the slow cycles as well as the small stops. Okay. So performance is the ratio of net runtime to runtime. And that's why you can calculate it as performance equal to idle cycle time multiplied by total count overall divided by the runtime. Okay. Again, what is the idle cycle time over here? So idle cycle time is the fastest cycle time that your process can achieve in the optimal circumstances. So for an example, I can produce the 15 parts into 30 minutes. Then 15 parts per 30 minutes is my idle cycle time. However, I may not be able to achieve that into 30 minutes. I may be achieving into 40 minutes, or I may be producing only 10 parts into 30 minutes. Then in that case, that's not my complete cycle, or it's not my idle cycle. My idle cycle time remains 15 products into 30 minutes. Now, when we multiply this entire thing by the total count, then the result is the net run time, okay, which basically means is the fastest possible time to manufacture the parts. Okay, and since the rate is the reciprocal of time, performance can also be calculated as performance equal to total count divided by runtime overall divided by the idle runtime rate. Okay, so this is another way in which we can calculate the performance. Performance can never be greater than 100%, and if it is so, if somebody has a performance which is more than 100%, then that usually indicates that the idle cycle time has been set incorrectly. That is, the idle cycle time is not correctly calculated and not put in over there. Okay. So there's the second factor, performance. The third factor is the quality. Quality takes into account manufactured parts that do not meet the quality standards, including the parts that could be reworked upon. Okay, so you can also remember that OE quality is similar to first pass yield. That is, first time I have produced and it is all correct. In that, it defines that the good parts as parts that successfully pass through the manufacturing process the first time without needing any rework. Okay, so very obvious. If you have a lot of reworks, your good parts per hour are going to come down. Your quality ratios are going to be bad. So that's why we calculate the quality as good count divided by the total count. Okay, and this is the same as taking the ratio of fully productive time, that is only good parts manufactured as fast as possible with no stop time, to net run time, that is all parts manufactured as fast as possible with no stop time. Okay, so that's the quality. Quality equal to good count divided by the total count. Okay. So now when we take the OE, what we do is that we multiply the A into P into Q, which basically means is that we take into account all the losses, and this results into measuring the truly productive manufacturing time. Okay. So ultimately what we are saying is that we have removed all the losses which were there occurring into availability, losses due to performance, losses due to quality. And when you remove that, then whatever the OE is coming in, that actually equates to the real, working or the real productive time. Okay. So if the equation for availability, performance, and quality are substituted in the above and reduced to their simplest term, the result would be OE equal to good quality multiplied by idle cycle time divided by planned production time. Okay, so this is the simplest OE calculation which can be brought in. And as described earlier, as we talked about it earlier, multiplying good count by idle cycle time results into fully productive time, that is manufacturing only good parts as fast as possible with no stop time. Okay, so that's what the overall your OE calculations are about. Okay. So let's take a simple example and try to understand that along with an example. Okay. So we will take some data over here and try to use that particular data. We have collected the data over here onto the 6 parameters. I'm sorry. Yeah. So we have collected the data on the 6 parameters and this relevant information. The first parameter is that how long is our shift. So if the shift is 8 hours, it basically means is that 480 minutes is the run time or the overall planned production time. Okay. Then there are 3 breaks taken by the people during the shift. That means 2 breaks of 15 minutes and 1 break of 30 minutes. It overall results into 60 minutes overall. And there is also some kind of a downtime which they have observed in this particular shift, which is related, which is corresponding to 47 minutes. Overall idle cycle time is 1 second, and total production which they had were the 19,271 parts in this 480 minutes, which included the break period, which also included the downtime. Okay, and total rejection into this period out of the 19,271 parts were the 423 parts. Okay, so this is the basic data which we have collected to calculate the OE of this particular machine in question. Okay, so the OE calculation begins with the planned production time. So first, let's exclude any shift time where there is no mention of running production. So, and what is that? That's typically the breaks. So if you remember, there were 3 breaks, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and 30 minutes, right? So if I take this and apply the formula that is shift length minus the breaks, then taking the example from our data, what it will mean is 480 minutes was the total time, 60 minutes for the breaks. So 420 minutes is the overall planned production time, which we have over here. Okay. The next step would be to calculate the amount of time that production was actually running. That is, there was no stoppages. Okay. And remember, we already talked about that the stop time should include a planned or unplanned time. And we had a breakdown over here. So we had a breakdown of 47 minutes, if you recall that. Okay. So if I put the formula of arriving at the runtime as the planned production time minus the stop time, then given our example, now we have the planned production time of 420 minutes, that is 480 minutes minus the 60 minutes of the break, and the 47 minutes as the breakdown, then overall runtime is of the 373 minutes. Okay, so that's the second calculation which we have arrived over here. Now the third calculation we will do is to calculate the good count. Okay, so it is also important to calculate the good count because the rejections or the rework pieces are not going to help us by selling them in the market. So that's why it is important that we also do the good count. Okay. So what is the good count formula? Total count minus the reject count. Okay. And if you remember, we had the 19,271 parts as the manufacturing, of which 423 parts were, the rejects. So what fundamentally we have the good count over here is of 18,848 parts. So that's, the 3 parts which we calculated: the planned production time, the run time, and the good counts. So we have the 3 parameters now along with us. Okay. Now, having arrived at 3 of this, let's do our further calculation. So now let's calculate the availability. Okay. So if you remember, the availability formula was that runtime divided by the planned production time. And if I go by this formula, our runtime was 373 minutes, planned production time was 420 minutes. So it basically gives us 88.81% overall as the availability of the machine. Okay, so that's the first calculation we arrive over here. The second calculation we will do is of the performance. Okay, and when we have to do the performance, if you recall, performance has to account for when the process is running slower than the theoretical top speed. That is, it basically has taken off all the types of the stops or the slow cycles, and so on and so forth. So if I take the formula over here, it will be idle cycle time multiplied by the total count divided by the runtime. And if you recall again, one of the parameters we had was 1 second as the idle cycle time. The total number of the parts manufactured were 19,271 widgets, and they were produced in the runtime of 373 minutes, which I multiplied by the seconds, 60 seconds, because our cycle time was 1 second. So what we receive over here by this calculation is 86.11% as the performance. Okay, so our availability is 88.81%, performance is 86.11%. Okay, now let's calculate the third factor, which is the quality. Okay, And again, it accounts for the manufactured parts that do not meet the quality standards. That means we have to reduce the loss of the rework or the rejection. So formula will remain good count divided by total count. And if you recall over here, by reducing the rejected counts, we had the good parts as 18,848. And if I divide it by the total count, 19,271, then the quality ratio comes out to be 97.8%. Okay, so what we have got over here is availability of 88.8%, performance of 86.1%, and the quality of the 97.8%. Okay, now let's look into it, that what does it essentially translate into. Okay, so if I now calculate and take the availability multiplied by performance multiplied by quality. Okay, so what is it going to give me is, I've not taken the percentage over here, I've taken the actual figures and then taken the percentage out of it. But 88.8 multiplied by 86.1 multiplied by 97.8 fundamentally gives me a OEE of 74.8% or 74.79% to be precise. Okay, so if you see, what has happened is that we would in a normal way come back and say, oh, I had a very small breakdown of only 47 minutes in a shift, or I had only maybe 300 odd kind of the widgets or the parts which were faulty. So I actually had a very good run of my production. But when you calculate it back, then you realize that your performance actually has been less than even 75%. So you have a scope to improve that. And as you start moving up to 80, 85% or so, you will see that your rejection rates drop, your availability starts going up, and your performance starts coming up as well. Okay, so that's why the OEE starts telling us that where do you stand in the real terms. Okay? So let's take a quick look in terms of the benefits of the implementing and calculating the OEE. And what I've done over here is that there are several benefits which people talk about the OEE. I have taken the top 10 benefits which can be talked about. So the first benefit we've taken is the return on investment. Okay? Companies make large investments into the machinery and need to achieve the maximum return on their investments in the shortest possible time. Okay? The objective of the OEE is to precisely obtain the maximum productivity of these processes, and the OEE return on investment, since its implementation is high. Okay, so apart from that, the payback also becomes very fast over here. So in calculating your return on investment, OEE again helps out in a big way. Okay? So that's one major advantage. The second thing is the competitiveness. It is very essential to reduce the production losses and achieve the greater competitiveness. For example, if a production line is capable of making 100 pieces per hour, but it is producing only 60, then the OEE would indicate why that line is failing. In this way, it helps us to increase the competitiveness of the company. Because when I start looking at why the 40 pieces are missing into it, somewhere I'll come to know that whether it is an availability issue, it's a performance issue or quality issue. And that's how I can start drilling down and then identify where my failures are happening and improve my overall production and competitiveness of the company. The third area OEE helps us to, helps us overall is get the best performance from the machine. One of the biggest benefit of using an OEE system is that the performance of the machine increases rapidly from the time of implementation. Okay? Its application is perfectly suited for both obtaining the maximum performance from the new equipment of the production line and also to implementing it to other machines that are already working. And that again, helps us to even run the comparatives within machine to machine as well. The fourth benefit is it increases the process quality. The cost associated with the defective parts or any kind of rejection are at companies around the world one of the biggest cause of the economic loss, because more I have to do the rework, more there is a rejection or the quality is not appropriate, and this defective component goes to the market. My cost keeps on increasing from the point I detect it onwards. Okay, so if I can detect it right in the beginning itself, or I detect it at the customer level, my cost exponentially rises if it goes to the customer, right? By using the OE and relevant technology, we get very effective traceability system, and this helps us to capture the source of decline in the quality, okay? And that captures it within the company itself. It doesn't let it pass to outside the company, okay? Minimizing the repetition and defective products is one major way of reducing the cost impact on our defective products. Okay? So it increases our process quality. The fifth one is ability to measure and decide. So it's a universal fact that only what is measured can be managed and improved. If I can't measure it, there is nothing which I can improve upon. So it is very important to know whether a production process is efficient or inefficient and how we can optimize it. And OE allows the quantification of efficiency and the uncovering of the actual operation of the production processes. This information is crucial because with it, you are able to take appropriate measures to obtain the improvement. And in turn, OE becomes a standard measurement tool. And actually, a lot of people, a lot of companies worldwide are now using it, and is growing day by day across all the companies. Okay. The sixth very important thing it helps us into is to discover the hidden factory. And I have actually been thinking of doing a webinar on the hidden factory, as a complete session, because this is a major topic, and a lot of us don't even know that what is the potential we are losing out, what is the real process efficiency we are achieving versus what is assumed, and can we actually improve upon it. So OE actually helps us to discover the hidden factory within our company. Okay, so that's another factor which we have. The OE facilitates the work of all the people involved in the manufacturing process. Using the reliable real-time information would mean that the plant people can be always aware about how they are really working, what enables the activation of, and by actually having a real-time information, you can also activate the immediate improvement across all the levels. If you don't even have the information, how will you improve upon it? But if you have the real time, you can start the immediate improvement actions. And OE provides all this information on the detailed origin of the production losses. And this becomes a starting point from which to improve the plant productivity. The eighth point is reduce machinery repair cost. If I know that where the actual performance of the machine is happening, then it goes hand in hand, also knowing whether my machine is working properly, okay, or whether there are issues that would lead to the need for future repair. Okay? If I'm having a lot of breakdowns, if I'm having a lot of unplanned stops, analysis of that will also tell me that does my machine actually require the repair, and can I put in a good preventive maintenance plan in place. Okay. So OE system helps us to anticipate these kind of the events. And these events could be unexpected shutdowns, reduced speeds, multiple of these kind of the things. But once this is understood, that can help us to put in the preventive maintenance plans in place. Okay. The ninth benefit I think is very important is scalability. So once we start using the OE system on a single machine or a process, we can continue to expand its implementation until it is employed across all the multiple production plants. Okay. This scalability means that it becomes a very versatile system, and it can be adopted to any company regardless of its size. So OE is not restricted to saying only to one particular industry or only to one particular type of machine. It can actually go across the industry sectors, across the machines, across the manufacturing plants. Okay. And the last one is the starting point of your digital factory. If you have good OEs in place, then that's where you can start improving your efficiency of manufacturing plant. And that's where the better sensors and better digitization will actually help you over here. So these are the top 10 benefits I would say OE kind of offers. Okay. So let's understand why OE is important. Okay. And that's a core question, right? So Number one, we may have significant capacity potential in our factory, which may not be getting realized. And that's where the OE can help us. And if I use the OE, it starts identifying the various losses which is happening. It can help me to start optimizing on those losses or the wastages. And that, releases the extra potential within my factory. So this will increase the production, or it will make your operations more efficient and cost effective. In addition, if we take the steps to improve the OE, then it always leads to more cost effectiveness than the alternatives. Okay, this particularly applies in the long term, but also applies in the short and medium term too. The alternatives could include the new shift, increasing overtime, purchasing equipment, outsourcing production, or even expanding the facility or putting up a new plant and so on and so forth. Now, these alternatives could exist always for you, but are they really cost effective? If I can take more juice out of my existing machine, then probably that is far more cost effective than taking any of these kind of the new alternatives. So that's another reason why we would like to have the OE. Currently, an OE score of 85% is considered actually very good. Okay, it's exceptional. The reality is that if actually we go back and look at most of the manufacturing facilities, then they are not able to reach this 85% goal, and they are way, way below. So this fundamentally means is that there is significant improvement possible for these companies to actually grow into. So OE becomes very important. I'm going to take some of the factors which will tell us that why OE is very, very important. I'm sorry, this slide is quite hazy, but still it should serve the purpose right now to show it. Okay. Now, we talked earlier about the return on investment also, so I'll just expand that a bit upon it. Even if you remember, when we did the calculation, while we took the example, while our our performance, availability, and quality were all in the 88, 87, 90, 97%, the overall OE still came down to 74% or 74.79%, right? Now, if I can increase even 1% of OE, it fundamentally will mean that my overall quality, my overall availability, my overall performance is going up, right? So it is very, very, worthy to know that what 1% of OE improvement would mean, okay? It makes it easier to estimate the financial probability of your project and also understand how you will be able to achieve it. So when I take return on investment, it also, helps me to understand the financial probability of my overall project. OE metrics, we use them for discrete manufacturing, but probably they are not going to help you so much onto the process industry, because the process industry has a continuity over there, and the OE over there can be as good as 90-95% as well. Okay, but even over there, the plant operators and the process plants still look at the hard numbers. And when you look at these hard numbers, they again, help in measuring the operator efficiency overall. So either it is the operation machine or the operator efficiency, which we can calculate. And then that return on investment overall will help us to, check the financial viability of our projects. Okay. So if we measure the plant improvements and we talk to the financial managers, they would always want the hard data before they will come back and say that, okay, you want to improve your plant, but you need so much money. So tell me that what exactly, you will return, what will be the return on investment for improvement. If I do the OE metrics, then it can tell me what is the return on investment. Even in this slide, if you look into it, it can tell me that where my shutdowns are happening, where my partial shutdowns are happening. These are my losses in the blue. And if I start bringing it up and my plant starts moving upwards, then you will also see that there is a band which is the lost opportunity. And if I can bring in the improvements, and if I can invest into those improvements, then I can very well go back and validate my project or justify my project that this investment will help me to regain the lost opportunity, and I will be able to have a better return on investment using the OE metrics. Okay, so this is one of the core application of OE. That's why OE is very important to use. The second part, OE has now become a significant key performance indicators for all manufacturers. Okay. In fact, people start benchmarking, saying that, okay, I am in a component industry, I should have an OE of 80% plus, or I should have an OE of 89% plus, and where am I? And then do the benchmarking accordingly. So KPIs, OE has become a very major KPI now. Okay? And this is an indicator that assesses not only the availability of the equipment, but also the product or asset utilization. Okay. So if my OE is going up, but naturally my availability, performance, quality is better, that means my asset utilization has gone up. Okay. Again, we use them into the discrete manufacturing as the best way, but again in the process industry, we look onto the operator and that particular asset efficiency overall. Okay. So that's the second, KPI, second benefit or second major reason why OE becomes important to us. Third reason is the loss control goals. And if I ask you an important question that given a certain plant operational practices, what is very important for you to accomplish? Okay. Then, and if I raise the questions like, is it implementing a good predictive maintenance? Is it raising the machine reliability? Is it getting more operator involvement? Is it eliminating the downtime? Is it increasing the machine performance? Okay, or improving the bottleneck operations so that you can increase overall production line throughput? Okay, probably you're going to come back and say that everything. You're not going to leave out anything, because all of them contribute totally to help you achieve your goal of reducing the losses and improving the productivity and efficiency. Okay. So if I look into the OE, and if you go back and then recall, we have talked about that OE essentially eliminates the losses incurred in the availability, performance, and quality. So if you're able to address them, then this also can become a way of setting up the goals in your organization, that what losses you want to control and how to improve the asset utilization into your organization. This is a very popular chart. And if I look into this, availability is being mapped to the big losses. Okay, the 6 lean big losses, which are setup and adjustment and breakdowns. Both of them are downtime, and then they are related to the availability of the machine. Okay, startup rejects or the production defects. These are the losses which are related to defect and hence related to the quality losses. Okay, small stops and idling or the process defects and the reworks. These are related to the performance or the speed, and that's why they are related to the performance losses over here. Okay, so essentially you would, if you are working upon the OEE, you ultimately will have to look down at where the losses are coming from, what is the origin of these losses, what are the root causes for these losses, and you can set up the targets of saying that my setup and adjustment are taking away 3% of the time, which I want to reduce it down to 2.5 or 2 or 1.5%. Okay, so you can actually set up the goals that where I want to control my losses, and thereby that how do I improve my OE. OE becomes a matrix to monitor these kind of the loss and control of them. So that's another important reason why we would want the OEE overall. Okay. The other thing which I strongly believe that OEE offers a multiplicity of all kind of the influences, and it analyzes every step and sees how many of them trigger the production shop. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken the earlier slide, mapped it back into the 6 major losses, and again mapped them back to the availability, performance, quality. But I've also mapped them back to the downtime losses, speed losses, and defect losses with the actual output, good output, target output versus actual output, then the plant machine production time versus the actual running time. All these things are taken care of, right? So what I'm trying to say over here is that there are various factors which influence your factory, which influence your equipment, which influence your asset towards the productivity ratios. Okay, And there is a multiplicity of all these influences. OEE actually is, giving you a complete multiplicity of all these influences and analyzes every step and sees how each of them can be, leveraged and improved upon. Okay. Working on the root causes for each of these influencers will lead the organization for not wasting the time on these activities, but rather resolving the main issue. Okay. And basically what it will mean is that as I have these kind of the focus coming in, they will help my organization to actually concentrate the efforts where it is really needed and then improve my performance overall. Okay. So this is the reason I say that it is a multiplicity of all the influencing factors. The next thing, which overall, is another factor for using the OEE, is that OEE helps in benchmarking your company's performance to a given production asset to the industry standards. If I go back to a continuous process industry, I have a friend who was the CEO of a glass making company, and they were making the specialized glass vials and so on. And they had an OEE of 97+%. Okay. Now 97% is a very, very high number, right? In their industry, they typically say that 95% is the industry benchmark, but they have achieved 97%. Okay. But now when I go back to another friend of mine who is into the component manufacturing, then to them, they say that 85% is excellent OE for us. Why? Because they have a lot of, changeover times from one component to another on each of the machine. So every time a component changes, a product mix changes, they have to change the dies. And that means that there is a downtime and that reduces the overall availability of the machine. But they say that given all these things, 85% to me is a very, very good number. Okay. Now, if I look back, then most of the discrete manufacturers actually achieve something like 60%. They are not able to achieve more than 60%, which means that there is a substantial improvement possibility from 60 to 85%. So we normally take this as a range, 85% as a target for the discrete industries and 60% as the normal ratio which most of these companies are able to achieve. But if you are into 40%, then it definitely is a very low score. And you really need to, really look around and figure out that what needs to be done to improve upon. Okay. Now, as I said, a continuous process industry may have a 95%, a discrete manufacturing of component may have, or a large assembly line may have 85%. A very large number of manually run machines and a discrete manufacturing process may have a efficiency level or OE level of 75% as the industry benchmark. So these benchmarks differ industry to industry, but then definitely these benchmarks help you to target and see that where you stand vis-a-vis the industry standard in the world. Okay, so that's why OE also becomes a very important, a very universal and very efficient way of benchmarking your company's performance versus the others. Okay, so how do you have the performance gains using the OEE? Okay, so I'm going to spend some time into this, maybe 2-3 slides talking about it. What is the performance part and how does it matter? So performance portion of the OEE metrics, if you recall, it represents the speed at which, and I'm taking the different terminologies over here, that performance would mean it is the speed at which the work center runs as a percentage of its designed speed. Okay, so it is also, you can also say it as a process rate. Okay, you can also say performance overall, right? But this is a pure measurement of a speed that is designed to exclude the effects of the quality and availability. Okay, real-time machine condition monitoring, it becomes very important to improve the performance of your assets and enjoy the performance gains using the OEE. Okay, now again, I'm going to come back largely on the performance because availability could be impacted from multiple reasons, and availability could also be maybe because of the setup times. It could also be because of the changeover times, and that can vary from industry to industry. But the performance of your machine definitely given the overall process rate at which it has to work, or whatever is the designated speed at which it is supposed to work, that should be high. And if it has to be high, it basically means that machine is in a very good condition. To have a machine into the very good condition, you need the good asset insights so that you can monitor and you can improve the performance of your asset. Okay. So one of the things which we would do to ensure that my machine continues to run in a good way is that obviously I would have a preventive maintenance, I would have variety of the things, but condition monitoring becomes a very important tool for me to monitor the machine and continuously improve upon that. Okay, I can avoid a lot of unscheduled downtimes. I can tailor my preventive maintenance schedules to the demands of the usage in the operation, and I can also collect a lot of data information necessary for the diagnostic and the preventive maintenance. So if I have the condition monitoring happening, then my machine can be proactively taken care of, and that means that my machine availability goes up, my machine's performance goes up overall. Okay, and I can run it at a rated speed which my manufacturer might have identified. The second part, which I would look into the asset insight, would be asset insights. Okay. If I have the asset insights, it will provide me visibility into the asset, which is my machine, and it will enable my production managers to drive more effective decisions and right decisions to improve the overall machine efficiency. Okay. And if I can improve my manufacturing efficiency, it will mean that I'm focusing upon the three areas: preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, and the throughput. Okay. Let's talk about all the three of them one by one-liner. Preventive maintenance would focus and ensure that there is a higher uptime and it proactively resolves the issue. Okay. Predictive maintenance will go one level above and it will let you know that when your machine is going to fail and attend to it before it actually fails. Okay. So predictive maintenance goes one more level above the preventive maintenance. Now, throughput is something which is increase or decrease of it tells us how to avoid the waste, reduce the speed, reduce the need for inspections, and need for the process changes. Okay, so these three factors, if we look into it as part of the asset insight, then I can ensure that my machine performance actually keeps on improving upon it. Okay, so condition monitoring and the asset insights. These are the two good maintenance practices. If we deploy, then we can improve the performance of our equipment or machinery, or even a complete synchronized production line, right? I've not focused upon how to do the improvement of the availability and the quality because, as I said, that a lot of other factors also influence it. But for the machine, the performance factors can be largely addressed if you have the good, asset insights and a good preventive, predictive, and throughput measurements and practices in place. Okay. So in the end, to sum up, OEE identifies the percentage of manufacturing time that is truly productive. Okay, that's the first part. OEE is an universally accepted key performance metrics, and it helps in defining the return on investment for business. It helps in establishing the benchmark for asset performance against the industry standards. Okay, and it is a crucial metric for improving the maintenance and thus increasing the performance of your assets. Okay, so friends, OEE is an important tool. Production managers use this as a very important tool to define their capital investments for improvements. Maintenance managers use it to monitor the performance of equipment. And now it has become very important business performance and financial KPI as well. Okay. Whatever OEE improvement, whatever improvement we do because of the OEE, whatever the insights it provides us, it has to be balanced. Higher OEE cannot come at the cost of any of the three factors. It cannot be this way that my availability and performance goes up, but my quality goes down, but I still get a higher OEE. No, that's not the goal. Our OEE improvement has to be balanced across all the three different levels. Okay. It's also a very important lean tool, part of the total productive maintenance. And most of the TPM implementations will start with the OEE to begin with, because once they can calculate the OEE of the machine, they know that where they have to, how much they have to travel and what exactly they have to do to implement that total productive maintenance. Okay. However, it can also be implemented in a very standalone manner, and that can be a very good start of the good maintenance practices in your organization. Okay. Skilltelligent and Auro University can conduct the detailed training sessions in your organization, and we can even support you in implementing on your shop floor. We can help your production team to understand them and also help them to start calculating the OE for your organization. Identify the losses which you need to control, which you need to manage, and thereby that improve the OEE. Okay. You can contact Auro University, Mr. Kishore Sharma, for more details upon it. Okay. So thank you, friends, for being part of this webinar. And I really look forward to sharing more such topics in future for everyone over here. If there are any questions, we can definitely take up the questions now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful presentation and apprising us on the OEE and its benefits. We have a couple of questions.
Sure.
First one, I'll put it, is OEE calculated per batch of products or individual products?
No, okay. So you actually don't, go as per the batch of the products or that way. You actually go it over a complete cycle time. So whatever is your overall cycle time, that is what you take that, and then accordingly you come back and say that what my OEE is coming in. So it's not a question of per batch time. You can calculate it even per batch time also by saying that to calculate my batch time, my idle production cycle or the production requirement production time will be so much, but still it will not give you a right kind of a calculation, because you're assuming over there that this is the time which it will take for the batch. So you actually take it per shift through the entire thing and then calculate it overall.
A relatively similar question comes in, says OEE is to be calculated for equipment or for all the equipments which are in parallel or in series, and what are the formulas?
So you calculate it for an equipment. You don't calculate it for all the equipments. There is a different methodology altogether for calculating it for all the equipments in the entire plant. But what you can do is you can calculate it for a synchronized one production line. I said that there are 15 equipments into that, and then how do I, calculate for all the 15 equipments as a synchronized line. So that can definitely be done. But usually you take the important equipment on which you want to focus and calculate for a specific individual equipment.
Thank you. The next question, is this OEE possible to calculate for continuous material handling equipments from start to the loading of a vessel having about 10 conveyors?
Yeah, definitely. You can. So you can, measure it even if it is a continuous material handling, because when you're doing a material handling, even if you have the conveyors, you still will have the, performance of the equipment involved into that. You may not have too many of the quality issues over there until and unless there is a, damage to the material which has been, loaded on that material handling equipment. But yes, you can still calculate the OE for that.
Second question is, how do we implement OEE?
So OE implementation is, it's a kind of a chore. It does take a lot of efforts to implement that initially. I would put it into the three different, steps. So first step I would say is that you should identify the project, decide on a pilot area where your people are already engaged and motivated. Identify a pilot area where you are actually either manufacturing one part of a multiple parts with the same cycle time, and also identify your constraints, whether it could be a single machine or it could be, a step in the process which is limiting the throughput of the overall process. Then the second step you do is you start capturing the OEE data, and there you should be able to capture the good count, idle cycle time, and the plant production time. Okay, and then third is that capture the detailed loss data. So you capture the stop times, reasons for stop times, total count, changeover times, and so on and so forth. So once you have these three steps, then that can help you to start on the path to calculate the OE for your identified equipment. And once you have some data coming in, then the metrics can start telling you whether your data is accurate or not, and you can start improving upon that data and then slowly move into that. So that's how you normally start with the OE implementation approach.
Second question, can I implement in project type field work?
I'm sorry?
Can I implement OEE in project type field work?
Yes and no, it's difficult. It can be. If you have a particular machine which is, working over there and you have a longer run times and you have the identified cycle times over there, you're going to run it for few specific, days or whatever shifts and so on and so forth, then you can. But if it is a absolutely one-time use and then you're going to come out of it, then it is not going to be productive at all. So in that particular case, no, it doesn't really work over there.
What losses OEE addresses? Next question, sir.
So we talked about it, that OEE focuses upon the three major losses. First one is the availability loss, which includes all kind of the unplanned and planned stops. And in a traditional way, I can say it is the equipment failure, setup and adjustment times, changeover times, and so on and so forth. The second is the performance loss, which would cover all kind of the small types and the small cycles or the slow cycles. And the third one is the quality loss, which would mean that there are kind of the production rejects or the process defects or the reduced yields and so on and so forth. So these are the three losses which OE addresses. And as I said earlier, these three losses are mapped to all the 6 big losses in the lean manufacturing. So all these losses are addressed out using the OEE.
Thank you. The next question comes in. How does OEE help in improving equipment performance?
So, I mean, once you have an OEE calculated and OEE tells you that your equipment performance is not great, then you can, start drilling down onto the causes for that. You can start identifying that what exactly is the loss which is causing the performance to be low. So for an example, it could be setup and adjustment. It could be changeover, which is taking a lot of time. Okay. Then if that is the case, then you can ask your team to do certain kaizens and improve on the setup or the changeover times. If equipment is running on a reduced speed, then again you can do the root cause analysis and try to identify that why there is a reduced speed and then improve that particular speed. So I mean, once you have the OE calculated, it actually pinpoints that what are the areas where the losses are occurring from, and then you can use the various lean methodologies and the tools to address those areas and improve the performance. So that's how the OE actually helps you in the equipment performance improvements.
Thank you, sir. Next question. One of the benefits you mentioned is discover the hidden factory. What is hidden factory?
Yeah, so this is one thing which essentially over maybe in the subsequent webinars I would like to address this. Hidden factory is a major thing. It's a term which we use to indicate that how much potential you have to increase the throughput with your existing equipment and which is not being realized. Okay, so you can also say that how much capacity is actually waiting to be unlocked into your factory. Okay. So that is where we want to, that is where we say that there is a hidden factory. There's so much potential lying within your factory, which you are not able to realize because of the various losses, because of the low performance of the equipment or any other reason. Okay. So we use a further calculation called total effective equipment performance, TEEP, to discover this hidden factory. And TEP actually considers the maximum time to be all available time, that is 24 by 365 days, 24 hours by 365 days. And that's how we try to identify and understand that what is your hidden factory overall. So maybe some webinar we will talk more in detail about that.
Thank you, sir. I think we are done with the questions. We do not have more questions, so we close our webinar here.
Okay.
Thank you, Atul sir, for apprising us on the overall equipment effectiveness. As you rightly said, that OEE is a universally accepted key performance matrix, helping industries to measure the performance of their equipments and thus defining the ROI for the business. I'm sure that today's webinar will certainly help us in understanding the OEE in depth and generate benefits by implementing the same in our manufacturing setups. I would like to share with you all that shortly, our university and Skilligent would be initiating short-term courses. You may like to visit our LinkedIn page wherein we have shared few course details. Our next session would be on the operational excellence on coming Friday, that is 4th of September at 4 o'clock in the evening. I take this opportunity to thank Atul sir for being with us and apprising us on the subject. I would like to thank all the participants and look forward to see you on next Friday. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Kishore, and thank you, everyone.